Khizr alayhi salatu wasalam is mentioned. And as I mentioned last week as well, it's one of the longest narrations that you will find, one of the longest narrations that you will find in Sahih al-Bukhari and so on, because it is such an interesting story, number one, and it has so much in terms of knowledge that we need to sift out. But as I mentioned, knowledge, and especially knowledge of the Holy Quran and ilm of tafseer, is not about reading something literally and reading something from beginning to end. The Quran is like the meanings of the Holy Quran are like as varied as the stars. So you got to be able to connect the dots. And tafsir requires for you not to read, right? It requires for you to deliberate, to reflect, to investigate, and to analyze. And from there, with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be able to unearth or unlock some of the mysteries of the Holy Quran. Okay? And I gave you examples of that last week. That's why I gave you the homework. What was the homework? Adila, you wrote it down? Right. Questions?
Why Khizr enact these 3 acts?
Right. One.
Read the Quran and see how the answers were given using the different words.
Right. Now there were certain words which Khizr alayhi salatu wasalam did. That was an easy one. All that you need to do was to read the Quran and see which one I was alluding to. Okay? Third one?
What was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanting to teach Musa alayhi salam?
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Anybody with any answers or any speculative answers as well? Anybody?
The words was the second one, I think. Did I not say that you will not be able, that you will be unable to bear?
Wrong. Right. Next one.
What?
The third one was he wasn't, when he said he's the most knowledgeable, he found out that he wasn't the most knowledgeable.
Okay.
That was the act of it.
That was one lesson which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to teach Musa alayhi salatu salam. That was one. There's plenty more lessons to be learned from the story here. But I want to know in terms of Khizr alayhi salatu salam. Okay, we'll start up at the beginning. I know you don't have much of the answers anyway. Some of them are practically impossible to get, right? In fact, all of them. But I mean, I still say make it like a little bit difficult, like, make you ponder over these things and so on. Okay, let's start off from the very beginning. Let's start off with the history today, right? As I said, sometimes I'm speaking off the cuff, right? So sometimes I'll forget something, I'll get back to it. So again, now non-sequential order, okay? So you will be able to connect those. Oh, you meant this, but you brought it up 5 minutes later, right? Okay, let's start off with Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wasalam first. We know about Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. We know that he's a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's Kalimullah, wa kallamallahu Musa taklima, right? In terms of his history, I just want to give you a basic history of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Musa alayhi salatu wassalam is a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and according to the history, right? Let me give you Allama Badruddin Aini. Allama Badruddin Aini is a sharih, a commentator of Sahih al-Bukhari. He's written a commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari. He's by far one of the foremost scholars. And in order to do a commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari, you can imagine what knowledge you must possess, right? Allama ibn Hajar al-Asqalani is one of the Imam al-A'imma fil Hadith. Allama Badruddin Aini is also one of them there, in that they've done sharh of Sahih al-Bukhari. So Allama Badruddin Aini, who was a Hanafi, he says that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam nasab genealogy is this there. Musa bin Imran bin Yashar bin Qahid bin Lawi bin Yaqub bin Ishaq bin Ibrahim. You want to take that down? If you don't want to, it is fine. It's just purely historical. I mean, no one's going to test you in an exam. Do you know Musa alayhi? As long as you know Musa alayhi is the son of Imran, right? Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam are brothers. Who's the elder one? Harun alayhi salam. Who's their mother? Two different mothers. No. I think it's the other way around. It's one mother, two fathers. Okay, I make a mistake. Yeah. No. Something like that, right? Well, I can't remember. I even forgot about it now. Okay, so Musa alayhi salam is Imran bin Yashar bin Qahid bin Lawi. You know Levi, not the genes now. Levi, right? Bin Lawi bin Yaqub bin Ishaq bin Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he's a prophet from the Bani Israel. The Bani Israel, the children of Israel. Israel is the name of which prophet of Allah? Yaqub alayhi salam. That's why I tell people, don't curse the name Israel or Israel. Is named after Yaqub alayhi salam. His name is Israel. Okay, the Bani Israel means the children of Israel. The Anbiya of Bani Israel, meaning the prophets from the children of Bani Israel. They are also from the family of Ishaq. Okay, the family from Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. Yaqub alayhi salam is one of the sons of Ishaq alayhi salatu wasalam. Now, Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam is from whom the Arabs have originated. And there was no prophet from amongst the chain of the Arabs. And Ismail alayhi salatu wasalam, the only prophet of Allah who came from the chain of Ismail alayhi salam, or from the lineage of Ismail alayhi salam, is the prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The rest of the prophets, including Isa alayhi salam, is from the Anbiya of Bani Israel. Therefore, the Jews openly rejected the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam because they realized that Nubuwah has left the home of the Bani Israel and has now gone to the Bani Ismail. Till today, the Arab-Jewish conflict is still based on fundamentally family politics, because they originate from two brothers with two different mothers. See how family politics works? You understand? Ishaq alayhi salam is from one mother, right? From Bibi Sarah, Sayyida Sarah, and Ismail alayhi salam is from Sayyida Hajra. All the Anbiya came from one lineage, Ishaq alayhi salam. Right? One Nabi only came from Bani Ismail, and that is the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? So Musa alayhi salam is from there. When Musa alayhi salatu salam, when Musa alayhi salam was born, his father Imran was 70 years of age. Right? And he lived for almost 129 years. Meaning Musa alayhi salam's father was almost 129 years old when he passed away. Right? And it is narrated that Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu salam lived for plus minus 120 years. Right? And according to Al-Farbari, right, his call says that Musa alayhi salam lived for 160 years. But I think, 120 years seems more plausible. So Musa alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted him a long life. Okay? Moreover, he passed away in the desert which is known as Thea. Right? I don't know the English equivalent of it there, but when the Jews were left wandering in the desert, right, for 40 years, Musa alayhi salam passed away in that interim. Now, Musa alayhi salam, if you go now to Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa, just outside Al-Aqsa, maybe about a 10-15 minute drive from there, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Mi'raj is tomorrow night. We're observing the night of Mi'raj tomorrow night. Well, if you're in Saudi tonight, you'll be observing it tonight, right? So we've got Mi'raj as well. At least we're remembering Allah at this time, in dhikr of Allah, right? So Musa alayhi salam's qabr and his tomb and his mazar is just outside Al-Aqsa, outside Jerusalem. I had the honor of going there. The Jews don't go there. The Jews don't even acknowledge it as his grave. They don't even acknowledge it. The Muslims, on the other hand, the Palestinians and so on, they go there every year around April, I think, and they have a big, massive, like a program there with dhikr,
like a faith.
Like a faith there, right? And they celebrate this and that. I know, like du'as and askar and, reading and qasaid and lectures and this and that. They make a very big thing about it, right? Now, the Jews don't even acknowledge that it is the tomb of Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. I'm just telling you a personal experience, and don't take this as hujjah or dalil. The Muslims have always acknowledged that because the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam described it. He said in Sahih Muslim, he said, when I was on Mi'raj, right, I passed by the grave of Musa alayhi salatu salam, and I saw Musa alayhi salatu salam, right, performing salah in his grave at his point. And the Prophet then described it. It's a yellowish area with mini hillocks and whatever, and wallahi, it is like that. The reddish sand, and you get, sand and this rock formation, like reddish in color and so on. Exactly as the Prophet of Allah described it, that's how it is. And you actually got to climb up. It's not on the ground. You got to climb up I went in 2002, so my memory is a bit shoddy. But yeah, the masjid, where he's buried, it's like on a small hillock, right? It's on the hillock, basically. They built a masjid around it, and the tomb is inside the masjid. That has been a tradition for all Anbiya alayhi salam, and that you build a masjid around their graves, like for the Ashabul Kahf that we had discussed already, right? Anyway, you walk into the area there, it's a small masjid prayer place, and then the Qibla is here. Musa alayhi salam's grave is about where the Imam stands, where the mihrab is, about another 5 meters away or 4 meters away from this Musa alayhi salam's grave. I promise you, Baba, the atmosphere at the tomb of Musa alayhi salatu salam, you know the Jalal that they call Jalal, is unbelievable, man. It's unbelievable. You know, it's palpable. You know what I mean? Palpable. You know, you can feel like the atmosphere is like electric. It's literally palpable. Wallahi, I was literally shaking, not out of fear, but in awe at the spiritual aura and the spiritual atmosphere that pervades Musa alayhi salatu salam's qabr. Allahu Akbar. It's unbelievable. That and Shuaib alayhi salatu salam. Shuaib is my father-in-law, is in Jordan, right? In Amman. Right at the bottom, you got to go down until you go down there, right? I went in his tomb. I'm talking about 1996. When you went there in 2002, it was under construction. And they built a very beautiful masjid. When you went to his tomb, it was still in an old, dilapidated masjid, right? And like wooden, not a wooden iron, but very old with these like this, mosquito nets for covers and everything. And inside was the tomb of Sayyidina Shuaib alayhi salatu wasalam. Anyway, and there's a masjid around. It's not typical tourists. Our Muslims are typical tourists. So, at that time we had no, real, the cell phones and all that. So people had those, some of the people had handy cams and some of them had the normal cameras, right? Anyway, we walked in, it was early in the morning, must have been about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and it was quiet, there's nobody there. Anyway, the gatekeeper, the tomb keeper came and he opened the tomb. Wallahi, we walked inside. When we walked inside, when I tell you, you can feel like the presence of malaika. Really, you can feel the presence, like there's no place for you to walk around there, and you can see this Jalal, right? Anyway, we walked in. When I walked in, I could feel this, and I said, you know what? There's too much of spiritual energy inside here. People walked in. The typical tourists, they walk inside not thinking that they are in the presence of a Nabiyullah. They walk in without adab, respect. They got the cams on, One guy walks in with his camera on. He walks in, the camera stops recording. He just walked in, then he clicked off. He put his foot out of the door. He walking again. He put his hand inside again, then he clicked off. I said, hey, take your camera, throw it, keep it outside. Don't take it inside. By that time, I realized, what? It was a very, 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 electrifying at the very least condition inside the mazar. Some women came inside, very, please, ladies, stand outside. Out of respect, stand outside. Some of them took, take out photographs. Anyway, people stood inside there. There are people who were with me who are still, some of you know them. You can ask them. Some of the guys stood there for 15 seconds and they were, there's too much, I can't breathe inside here. Literally, they couldn't breathe inside there. They couldn't take the energy inside there. I stood there for a little while. I asked for forgiveness for any disrespect shown by everybody. Made a dua there on behalf of it, and we walked straight out. Right? Finish, over. Everyone is talking about it because they've never experienced something like this in their lives. This guy is saying, my camera is working. I walk inside that thing. I said, shh, leave it out. That time, anyway, when we finished off, 2-3 days later, we were still in Amman or wherever we were on our way to Iraq. These people will send their cameras, for processing. For the processing of the film. You shared the film before. So many people were on the bus with us. We had a full bus, about 40, 50 people. So many of them took our photographs. All their photographs came out. Only the photographs of Shuaib alayhi salam's tomb and his mazar inside. Every single one person who took out a photograph there, not one photograph came out. Go and explain that to me, come on. Explain that phenomenon to me. If there were, example, out of 40 people, if there were 20 people taking out photographs inside there, right, every snap of theirs came out. But the snap that they took out in Shuaib alayhi salam's tomb, not one of it came out. Every photograph you see, you just see like a blackish, like a blur, and you just see like waves of light, like a reddish streak, a greenish streak, like a streak of color, not where you have an exposure to the film where that you know, like you just get like a thin streak of like color, and the rest of it is like darkened. You don't see anything else. Everybody is also like that. Now go figure. Okay, so Shuaib alayhi salam, one of the right. So anyway, I went to Musa alayhi salam's mazar. I stood there and made salah. We made salam there. We greeted him. We made dua and everything inside there. It was time of Salatul Zuhr. So I had the great privilege and honor, and I'll never forget that day. I led the Salatul Zuhr on that day in Musa alayhi salam's masjid. So it's like in the masjid of a Nabiyullah. I went and asked him, please forgive me. You can imagine now you're standing you're making salah, number one, in the presence of a prophet of Allah. alayhi salatu was salam. Can you imagine what concentration would do? Musa alayhi salam will come and smack you from outside the sea. But then you understand? Really, right? So Musa alayhi salam is buried there in Jerusalem. Okay, if you get a chance, even if you're a tourist, don't listen to them. Just go there. Okay? They call it Maqam. That's it. Maqam Musa, they call it. Maqam Musa. Right? And everyone accepts it. Right? The Muslim community, there's nobody who doesn't accept it. Okay? Now, when Musa alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam and the people of Bani Israel left Misr, when the Pharaoh was chasing them, Musa alayhi salam was plus minus 80 years of age. So Musa alayhi salam was not a young man. He was 80 years of age when he split the sea. You understand? And then he lived for another 40 years, right? Meaning basically, they split the sea and then they were wandering in the desert and so on. So most of his life came out in the desert, where Man and Salwa and so on began to. So you must know, Musa had a very tough time with the Bani Israel. And then he passed away there. They give you some other locations for his demise and everything inside there, but that's all conjecture for them, right? Now, when in the era of Yusuf alayhi salam is the son of Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, because Musa alayhi salatu salam is not from the progeny of Yusuf alayhi salam. He is from the progeny of Lawi bin Yaqub. Musa alayhi salam is from the progeny of Levi bin Yaqub, okay? Not from Yusuf bin Yaqub alayhi salam. When Yusuf alayhi salam was the Aziz of Misr, or when he was the minister of Egypt over the granaries and whatever it is there, the only person who accepted Islam at the hands of Yusuf alayhi salam was Rayyan bin Walid, right? Then after that, Qaboos bin Mus'ab became the king of Misr. After that day, right, when Yusuf alayhi salam gave him da'wah of Islam, Qaboos bin Mus'ab to become Muslim, Qaboos bin Mus'ab, who was the king at that time, or was the pharaoh at that time, refused to accept Islam. He wasn't the pharaoh, but he was, right? Thereafter, right, Yusuf alayhi salam passed away. Then the son of Mus'ab, Walid bin Mus'ab, became the king, right? And after him was the era of Musa alayhi salam's Fir'aun. Meaning after Walid bin Mus'ab, then Musa alayhi salam era came in Egypt, and that is when Ramses II came into Rayyan. Ramses II came into being. And Fir'aun had a very long life, right? And no one had a longer life than Fir'aun. He lived for plus minus 400 years. How that is possible, I don't know, but he lived for 400 years. In fact, right now, he's still dead, but his body has still been preserved. It's an ayat min ayatillah. If you go there, I don't like to go there, right? One guy told me, you want to go see Ramses II? I said, no, I don't want to see him. And then the joke is in Egypt, in Cairo, do you know they made a statue out of him there? If you go somewhere in Cairo, they've got a massive statue of Ramses II. So I told him, what Juhala these people are. Al-Azhar of Egypt is right there. Ramses II was the one who Fir'aun who said, Ana Rabbukum wal-Ala, and he made a bloody statue out of him. Can someone explain that logic to me? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved the body of Ramses II in the Egyptian Museum of Antiquities. And they say there are billions, obviously there are billions of bacteria on any human body, but there are billions of bacteria on his body there which actually preserve his body. And his body is not in a grave or anything, it's open for everybody to see. Ramses II. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَالْيَوْمَ نُنَجِّيكَ بِبَدَنِكَ. And today we will preserve your body. لِتَكُونَ لِمَنْ خَلْفَكَ آيَةً. Right, so that you may become a sign for those that come after you. You understand? So this is the brief history of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. Then is Yusha bin Nun alayhi salatu. I'm giving the history first so we dispense with the introductions, right? Then is Yusha bin Nun alayhi salatu. As I mentioned to you last week, the Yusha bin Nun alayhi salatu wassalam, according to Haafiz ibn Kathir in his Tarikh ibn Kathir and his the Tafseer, he states there, it actually is more in Al-Bidayah or in Nihaya. He said Yusha bin Nun is this. Yusha bin Nun bin Afraim bin Yusuf bin Ishaq bin Ibrahim al-Khalil alayhi salam. So Yusha bin Nun alayhi salam is from the family of Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, right? And he is the son of Ephraim, who is the son of Yusuf alayhi salatu, who is the son of Ishaq alayhi, son of Yaqub alayhi salam, who is the son of Ishaq alayhi salatu wassalam. So Musa alayhi salam is from the brother Levi or Lawi, and Yusha bin Nun alayhi salam is from the sons of Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, and his name in English is known as Joshua. Remember, in the era of Ibrahim Khalilullah alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam and so on, there wasn't a situation where every Nabi, no. There was a Nabi for every town at times. And at times, the era of two Anbiya alayhi salam coincided. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Lut alayhi salam were in basically from two different towns. They were from two different towns, right? They had two different issues that they had to deal with, but they were in the same era, because the same angels that came to visit Ibrahim alayhi salam told him that we are going to the people of Lut and we're going to destroy the people of Lut. So you can imagine, in the era of Ibrahim alayhi salam, you see that the punishment and the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala falling upon the people. Like, you and I, we witnessed that in Chile they had the earthquake and this and that and everything, and there was another big one in Chile, was a very big one, and Japan, am I right? Ecuador, sorry. I think Chile as well. Wasn't there something in Chile as well? Chile, Ecuador, and Japan. Right? Now, in neighboring countries. So imagine now the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is descending on another town. On another town. Right near you. And Ibrahim alayhi salam is another town. And Lut alayhi salam is another town. And his wife is being turned into a pillar of salt. That's how it used to be, that they would have sometimes one or two Anbiya alayhi salam in the specific area, meaning in a certain geographical location there, spreading the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is how the sunnah of Anbiya alayhi salam was then. Right? But obviously then there was a break in that period there, and for the people of Bani Israel, various Anbiya alayhi salam came after Musa alayhi salam, before Isa alayhi salam. Remember, they all followed the Torah. Like you had Shamuel alayhi salam, Samuel. Right? Then you had Dawood alayhi salatu wasalam. Then you had Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam, and so on and so on and so on. Before, after Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So Yusuf alayhi salam precedes Musa alayhi salam. And the story about Musa alayhi salam, when the sea was split, right? Musa alayhi salam carried the body of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam across, and he asked. There was only one person, one woman, right, who knew the location of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam's grave, right? And she asked for something, and Musa alayhi salam gave it to her. He said, like, whatever you want, it's done. Right? And then they located the grave of Yusuf alayhi salam. Therefore, Yusuf alayhi salam is buried in